The meeting has been called to order at 6:49. Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Alcazar,
Present.
Mr. Van Berenson,
Here.
Ms. Ford,
Here, on telephone.
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Tawari, and Chairperson DeVoe.
Yes, here. Moving on to the pledge. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Again.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
First off, I would like to thank everyone for attending. I also wanted to start off the meeting by thanking Will Galtieri as the former chair for this opportunity. His leadership and guidance will definitely be missed. And I have had such an honor with working with him over the past few years, and I'm very excited to take on this new position, and I look forward to working with all of you in this new capacity. So thank you. All right, opening up the meeting for public comments.
Now,
Do I?
Madam Chair, for the purposes of the record, we need though we did it earlier, the sunshine law statement, adequate notice of this meeting has been given pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by placing it in the official newspaper, on the authority's website, and all other places where such notice is provided, as well as any other individual or individuals who have requested such notice. Because we are in a COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being conducted electronically pursuant to Governor's Rules number 103, Public Laws of 2020, Chapter 11, various local finance notices that have come from therein.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem.
Motion to open the meeting for public comment.
Any public comment?
Second.
Second, Alcazar.
Who was the first, please?
Was there first?
Did anyone move to open at the public portion? You can make the motion, Madam Chair, if you'd like.
I make the motion to open for public comment.
Second, Tawari.
We already have a second. Alcazar is the second already, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion to close meeting for public comments.
So moved. Motion.
Second.
Second, Tawari.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Approval of minutes for the monthly board meeting of January 5th, 2021. You have reviewed those. Can I have a motion to move the working session minutes?
So moved. Ram.
And a second?
Second, Ford.
All those signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Moving on to executive summary by the Executive Director and Special Projects Manager.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Okay, under our legal category, our attorney is continuing to work on issues involving the Somerset Street pump station, which includes not only closing out the original project, but he's also legally supervising the amended plan that which we will get into later in the meeting. Also is on a daily basis monitoring the COVID predicaments and restrictions and guidelines from CDC in the state. And we consult with that often enough to stay dynamic and keep our employees safe. The IRS issue is still pending. We're working on it. Regarding all our projects, we always maintain our legal supervision at Mr. Bernstein's office, and we always get COVID-19 updates from his office. Marcy Street is still in the green. It's good moving forward. The only two comments I need to share is the vendor contracts and the scheduling of that project are currently in process. And we do have a rough estimated start date of February 19th, 2021. Everything's moving along on schedule and as expected. Hamilton Street Pump Station is also in green. It's nearly complete. We're at our final steps. They still need to complete the chain link fence around the property. There was an issue with the louvers being installed in accordance with the manufacturer's specs, and those adjustments have been made. Landscaping needs to be complete. We do still need a temporary CO from the municipality that is being estimated to be received on or around February 10th. And we are anticipating a production start date of probably February 12th, assuming the TCO arrives on the 10th. So the start date would be somewhere between February 12th and the 16th.
Can I ask a question, Joe, on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as far as the budget is concerned, how did we do? Did we come right on budget? What are the change orders? How much over, under? I just want to get an idea.
We are within budget, but I can let Joe Jamel jump in on that question.
Yes, thank you. Right now, the construction contract is projected to be under the authorized bid amount. We did have a change order that was a net zero, and we have not used all of the unit price quantities, so we will be below the bid price.
Fantastic. Good job, guys.
Thank you. Excellent job. And we could also thank our maintenance and operations staff for that, led by Scott Nacero, that did countless things that helped us save money. I want everybody to appreciate the staff we have working for us.
Excellent.
Okay. And regarding with all these projects, I keep the construction committee and the chair informed every step of the way in between the meetings. So this is quite a participative team action. The Somerset Pump Station original project is also at the very final steps. I anticipate I'll take this project off my list for by next meeting. As you know, we had change order number 1 was completed and pay application number 8. We are the next final steps would be the maintenance bond, the release of the lien, and the final pay application, and then we'll say goodbye to that entire project. East Millstone is green. It's moving forward as expected. Currently, the final vendor questions have been answered by our engineer, CDM Smith, and the bid schedule will be extended only because of the storm, and we want to be fair to everybody and transparent. So we're just going to extend that a bit longer. Howard, regarding that extension, are we doing this extension for 2 weeks?
Yeah, we extended it to February 17th.
Okay, thank you. So nothing else is remarkable with that project. As in the past, the high bay garage project is still on suspension, but eventually in the very near future, probably next month, I'm going to ask that we continue on with that project. General engineering, CME is still working with us on the New Brunswick issue, which we could talk a little bit more in depth on the next report. And also working on the new redesigned Somerset Street Pump Station watershed area rehab. If you notice, I put a new project on the list, and that would be the Weston Canal Force Main Rehabilitation Project. It starts off in the green category, but you know, if you don't know already, we had a force main break as we did a year or two ago. This is going to involve more than just the temporary fix. We're now forced into an emergency situation, and the remaining lineage of the pipe has to be rehabilitated under emergency circumstances. And we'll talk more about that in the financing. So just to sum this up, we're going to have to make a few changes to two of these project financing, which actually is a very good thing. So Somerset Street Somerset Street rehab, the Marcy Street area rehabilitation was scheduled to be paid for in part by financing and cash out of the North Track funds. But now that we have the Weston Canal Force Main break that is an emergency situation, instead of the Marcy Street rehab project being financed from bonds and cash, I'm going to suggest that we finance that entirely 100% through bonding, freeing up the $3 million out of the North Track funds and use the North Track cash to finance the Weston Canal rehabilitation. It actually ends up being less work and giving us an opportunity to use all the North Track money that we have, which we are required to spend or we lose it, plus interest and penalties. So this is, I want everybody to understand this, but this is mostly relevant for our next budget that we submit to the state. But I want everybody to start thinking about, you know, that change we're going to be making on those two projects. And that concludes my summary report.
Madam Chair, we are in the process at the request of Mr. Danielson to provide his office with a report relative to the North Track funding. I assume he will be looking at it within the next few days.
Say that again, Eric.
I said you will be getting a letter from my office relative to the North Track funding use.
Okay. Do you anticipate any bumps in the road?
I am hopeful not. I'll have to take a last look at the letter, but I believe that we will be supporting Mr. Danielson's recommendations that he will be looking for officially to be taken care of, I would assume, by the March meeting.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the project summary report?
So Joe, I think we talked offline. Just wanted to emphasize that the Western Canal, we are replacing the entire length so that this problem doesn't happen again, correct?
Most of the remaining pipe we're going to be working on. There's a piece of pipe that originates in the pump station that crosses Weston Canal Road and takes a right-hand turn for a short distance. That we're going to address that under a separate project.
So the North Track funding, I think if you don't use it, you lose it. So can we squeeze the time frame so that we can use all those funds onto that project as well?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent.
I mean, there's going to be money left over. Hopefully, we can then use that money that's left over. It might be 1.5 million in that neighborhood. Hopefully, we could then use that money and do that as a separate project, the original section of the force main from the pump station that goes across the street. We could also use that money for the Campus Drive relining, which is a project that will be added to this list shortly. Yeah, because that's all North Track, facilities. And it's on Scott's wish list.
Very good. Thank you.
We'll find ways to put it to good use.
I'm sure we can spend the money.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, next is the engineering report.
So, Chairwoman, the end of your reports, I kind of summarized those three reports.
Got it. Next, the operations report.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of January of 2021, during the month at the Griggstown pump station, our crew changed the packing on the 6-inch suction valve in the dry well. We had to make entry at our 6-mile run pump station to repair the bubbler line, which is a 1/2-inch PVC pipe. Sunflower, we had some transfer switch issues with control boards in the panel. They were troubleshot and repaired by Onan Cummins. Our staff replaced the multi-trode level control at the Wilson Road pump station. Weston Canal, I guess we could talk in more detail later. But along with the break, we also had an issue with the level control bubbler system leaking air internally in the control cabinet. Our guys did the troubleshooting and found a leaky regulator. There were no replaceable parts to repair, so we purchased a new one and installed it. Under odor and corrosion control, there were no odor complaints for the month. We did receive our first delivery of bioxide at the Hamilton Street pump station and did a startup of the new equipment. So as when we do go online, everything is ready to go. Once online, if you recall, when we did Somerset Street, we did excessive amounts of sampling and monitoring at the outfall to make sure our feed rates are correct, that we're pumping the right amount of product. Under our gravity sewer flushing 2-year program, as you know, due to limited staff, the COVID, and due to some of the weather, there was minimal flushing. The flushing that was done for the month was about 1,500 total feet. Mainly trouble spots, areas that give us a little more headaches. The township had an emergency water main break on McAfee Road. They accidentally hit our 8-inch ACP main. We were called out immediately. The DPW excavated, and our guys made the repair. We did some work earlier in the month for Southbound Brook. They have a pump station that they needed some assistance with their wet well. Had a bunch of grease and stuff like that. They needed their level control cleaned and the well cleaned, and they were very ecstatic with the work that we did. 2 E1 grinders were repaired during the month from the Griggstown area of town. Our crew did respond to various complaints from, homeowners for slow draining sewers. Sometimes we're able to assist at the curbside cleanouts. Sometimes we find that the problem is on the resident side, and they're advised to contact the licensed plumber. Under our safety for the month, we had our annual OSHA inspections performed for all our overhead hoists at the pump stations. They all passed. The annual inspections of all fire extinguishers, that's for all the pump stations, the main facility building, and all the vehicles were all tested and inspected. The first quarter inspections of backflow devices were completed. Pump stations. We do have an issue at the Somerset Street pump station that we're just waiting for some parts to make that repair. We believe some dirt may have gotten the backflow device when the ship was doing the water main repair there. No accidents or injuries for the month of January. There are connections. The current month's connections was 18. To date, 45 and a half. And anticipated for the fiscal year is 225 and a half. Any questions?
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, I just wanted to say thanks for jamming up in the Western Canal emergency again. I really appreciate all your team's work and getting it under control right away.
It was a true team effort. We did have our emergency contractor respond, who responded immediately. But our staff put together a nice system to lessen the impact to the waterways, the storm sewer, the environment in general. Everything, for the most part, went well, as well as
good. And we are going to prove Bernoulli's theory wrong, right, Joe?
Bernoulli's principle. Madam Chair, for number 9 under executive directors, I normally summarize these reports, but if you want, I could circle back and go through my executive director's report.
Whichever way works for you.
Okay.
So we can go back through
I'll go through the report.
Okay.
Okay. So for this month's revenue report, as of January 31st, we received $2,056,116.31. Year to date, we have collected $8,362,120.39. We have an open balance of billables of $10,365,053.91. This month, penalties were generated to the amount of $9,907.86. That, just for your edification, the breakdown of that, 40% of that is residential, 24% is commercial, and 19% are from condos. And I just broke those up by the top 3 categories. Again, that's $9,907.86. Revenue to date, and I want to make note of this, our residential receivables, we are at 70% of our annual benchmark, and that calendar point, we're at 75% of the calendar. So we're 5% behind on residential. Overall, our revenue to date is at 66%, again, with a calendar mark of 75%. So just that 5% off on the residential anticipated revenue equates to about $300,000. So that's going to be relevant for our budgeting decisions in the future. So I don't think if you looked at the reports, that might not have been apparent to you, but residential is our biggest category of revenue, and our overall is obviously an indicator. So we're a little off on the mark. Now that could change in the next month or two because of the billing cycle, but I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. I'll also remind you that we started off our budget cycle with a $1.1 million operating deficit, meaning what we're spending versus our revenue, plus the $500,000 that we're anticipating the township asking for us to give them for general purposes. So that's a $1.7 million deficit we started off with. That's also relevant to some of our projects. We have the Western Canal Force Main line that failed. and we're looking at a $2.2 to $2.6 million cost. That goes to our deficit. Plus, we have two projects that coincidentally had some unanticipated construction costs that are yet to be determined how much that is. So with that light, our expenditures look good. This month's expenditures were $428,889.16. We're at the our expenditures are 48% to date at a 75% calendar date. Our year-to-date expenditures are $5,579,192.69. Our cash position remains in the same stable category as last month, with slight differences in the categories. Unrestricted is $665,141.74. Restricted category is $11,100,510.09. And our designated category is $7,298,768.10. We have a total cash holding currently of $19,064,419.93. Before I move on, does anyone have any financial questions? That section of the report? Okay. Our 2020 audit completed successfully. The very last step was the Federal Audit Clearinghouse certification, and that was completed in the last several business days. Under COVID-19 status, we did have one staff member that had an unconfirmed contact. That member was quarantined, and we went through the typical protocol and discussions and so forth. Admin and engineering staff are still working from home. Operations staff is still split work duty, as done in the spring, and we still have our same COVID policies and travel policies in place. The winter storm went through smoothly thanks to Scott and his staff working under him. This month's escrow and maintenance accounts, there's been no escrow releases this month, but we do anticipate, and Christian, you could correct me if I'm wrong, we need to wait until sometime in March before we start filing that money with the state to surrender that money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Christian. This month we have 18 connections. Our annual connection projection is on target, and I believe 16 out of the 18 were residential. Christian? Yes, okay. MCUA, nothing to report. Southbound Brook, nothing to report. The New Jersey Underwriters Association JIP plan, we did do a change of broker tonight, which is last month.
We will be later.
We will. Okay, I'm sorry. Right, the resolution in hand. So New Brunswick is proven to be interesting. We're still on course. So we did clear up some data. The big change in the last month is that the city engineer he mentioned that it is his recommendation to the city that they not include the O&M and I&I charges within their calculations or their method of billing, which then relates to our value and involvement of our auditor, which is good. However, I'm still going to keep our auditor as a permanent member of the New Brunswick and Franklin Sewage Authority discussion team in case something should pop up. But they, like everybody else, are, the city of New Brunswick's desperate for revenue. They're falling short like everybody else is, and they're trying to get as much money from all sources. The document archiving project is moving forward nicely, and we do have a schedule of February 22nd, that vendor coming on site and beginning that production. Nothing to report for Somerset County Water Treatment Analysis Plan. Nothing to report for bankruptcy of accounts. Disability broker is a resolution in hand for you to vote on tonight. Change of broker. The community virus monitoring plan. Christian did draft a plan. It has not been presented yet. He's still tightening that up. But part of that is confirming the acquisition of a sampling machine. Is that correct, Christian?
Correct. Mhm.
All right. As stated under legal, the IRS appeal process is still moving forward. Eric, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I
Or is
believe,
that attorney-client privilege?
yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have standard resolutions tonight of payroll, operating, renewal and replacement, and North Track. And that completes my executive director's report, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Danielson. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Moving on to committee reports for the Personnel Committee. Commissioner Barrington, do you have any updates to give?
Nothing at this moment. I think we are waiting for some documents from Eric. Once we have that, we will have more to report.
Okay. Nothing on municipal liaison, or do we have any reports for construction?
Oh, the municipal license, I just want to kind of inform that the council did have a first reading on the resolution for the amnesty. This is in reference to the connecting the sump pumps to the sewer lines. So that was done. So we will hopefully have an approval on that in the next couple of meetings.
Anything for construction reports currently? Okay.
Madam Chair, I could not attend the last meeting. I tried to, but so they didn't report.
Okay. And safety, Scott, there were no accidents in this month, correct? Okay. Thank you. The approval of the resolutions, they will be done by consent agenda. All the items listed of routine nature will require one motion. And second, if any of the members wish to remove an item from consent agenda, please advise me now at this time as to which resolutions need to be held separately, and they will be addressed and voted on separately. Resolution number 020222021 is the payroll account of $157,575.44. Resolution 0200022 operating expense account of $618,147.02. The renewal and replacement of $75,853.73, and the North Track crossing $5,027.00. Do I have a motion to move those resolutions?
So moved. Ram.
And
Second, Tiwari.
roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yes.
Mr. N. Barronson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tuari,
Yes.
and Chairperson DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution for authorizing the authority to rescind the provisions of Resolution 01052021 -08 and desires to move forward with an agreement with Business and Governmental Insurance Agency. Do I have a motion to move that resolution?
Motion,
Motion
Tiwari.
Alcazar.
Who was,
Motion by Commissioner Tawari, and second?
Second, Ram.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yeah.
Mr. Ann Berenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tuari,
Yes.
and Chairperson DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution authorizing the removal of account number 04813 located at 438 Girard Avenue, Block 347, Lot 601 from billing with an adjustment of $321 in principal. This address was disconnected on December 21st, 2020. Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
So moved.
Motion
Ram.
Ford.
And a second?
Second Alcazar.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yeah.
Mr. Ann Berenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tuari, Mr. Tuari,
Yes.
okay, and Chairperson DeVoe.
Yes.
Yes.
Noted.
Resolution authorizing the return of performance bond number 84C002002 dated in 2015 in the amount of $159,601.00 relative to Block 502, Lot 35, located on Route 2. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Ram.
And second? I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yeah.
Mr. Ann Berenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tuari,
Yes.
and Chairperson DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution authorizing the return of maintenance bond number 285053516 dated year 2015 in the amount of $23,950.14 relative to Block 5.02 Lot 35. Do I have a motion?
Motion Ford.
A second?
Second Alcazar.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tuari, Mr. Tuari? I could see him there. And
Yes.
Chairperson, okay, Chairperson DeVoe?
Yes.
Did you hear me? Yes.
Yes, noted.
Resolution authorizing the authority to enter into contract with the Guardian for short and long-term disability plans effective March 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion Ford.
And a second?
Tiwari,
Second,
second.
Roll call, please.
Madam
Mr.
Chair, Madam Chair, before the roll call, I just want the board to understand this is a resolution authorizing an application for such benefits. If the application is granted, we may have to come back to the board for approval depending upon costs.
Thank you. Roll call.
Okay. Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barrenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Tawari?
Yes,
And Chairperson DeVoe.
Yes. Do we need to go into executive session?
Mr. Danielson?
I don't have any executive session topics.
No, I think we'll spare the board this month. I suspect we'll have one next month.
So, Chairwoman, do we want to talk more in depth about the Weston Canal main break and the process we're going to need to go through?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So basically on January,
Do you want to do that in executive session?
what need do we have for executive session on that? I was just going to discuss overall what happened
I just want to asking.
and the process go through. So on or about January 15th, Scott was notified by the water company that they saw what looked like a underground break coming out of the surface. Scott immediately investigated. This was at the end of the day on a Friday, not mind you. A very cold, rainy Friday. He and his crew went over there. I found it, identified it quickly as a sewer break. He immediately called a trusted contractor, and then called me. By the time I got out there, Scott and his crew were already there with a vacuum truck and isolating as much as they could. And then the contractor got out there and started digging it up. They patched the pipe and reburied it. During that time, they identified that this is going to be one of multiple probable breaks in a line. So Scott and the engineer just inspected the line and both determined that we are now beyond just a repair, that we are an emergency situation. The Bernoulli's principle will lead us to believe that there's going to be more breaks in this line. We also get not supervised, but overshadowed by the DEP and what they expect of us. And they expect us to maintain a system free of not only leaks, but possible failures. This line now is presenting us high probability of failures in the near and far future. So we have to act on it. So Scott has, we had a couple of meetings with the vendor and the engineer, me and Scott's staff, and they're looking at what is best to address this system. Do we reline it? Do we just dig it up and put a new pipe down? Do we do I think it's called a pipe burst, laying new pipe in? This particular pipe is complicated because of the path it follows and how many turns in the line there are. Because at each turn, you can only line it in a straight pipe. Once it makes a turn over a certain number of degrees, you have to dig it up and you have to get access in there, and you have to start the lining all over again. So they're going to come up with a plan that's probably going to use multiple disciplines to address the approximate 3,000 linear feet of this. They're giving us a rough estimate of about $2.2 to $2.6 million to rehabilitate this line using everything at our disposal. What we don't have that we can't get is time. This should have been done. We didn't know it at the time, but this should have been done years ago. And now we're out of time. We have to rush, and we don't have the luxury of going through the normal public bidding process. So Scott presented his documentation establishing emergency status. The engineer, the licensed engineer, submitted documentation also establishing emergency status. I reviewed the documentation. I concur with them. I forwarded all that to our qualified purchasing agent, which is April. She's going to look it over and give an opinion based upon her QPA status. If she's in concurrence and reports back to me that, then I could give Scott the go-ahead to commence working, and he and I together will decide on the vendor and how to engage the vendors to do this. So, as I stated before, we are going to be paying this out of cash, which is coming from our North Track account, which we are required to spend that money anyway. So what we don't know right now is exactly how much. We don't know exactly when the project could begin, and we don't know the final plan that the vendor is going to suggest us to use, meaning, lining it, replacing it, or dragging a new pipe, bursting the old one. It'd probably be multiple disciplines. So that's basically the status. We can't wait. We can't waste a single day in this process. It's at that level. Our failure to act could result in, at a minimum, fines from DEP or worse. So since I'm dealing with licensed people, Scott's licensed, CME's licensed, and our attorney's licensed, if they all agree, I'm not going to be the one to disagree. And that's my summary of our status right now, Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Can I actually take a look at the documents, the plan, once it's confirmed by April?
Oh, absolutely. You'll be more involved with just looking at plans, Chairwoman. Scott, can you make sure we get a hard hat, a vest, steel tip shoes, no heels?
I'm ready.
All right.
With that, there aren't any action items, so I believe we can adjourn, correct? Am I missing something? No? Motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna note, you went through this meeting a lot faster than the office right there.
See?
All right, congrats, Chairwoman.
Popularity is skyrocketing.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Everyone signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned at 7:39.